Hey everybody, Anthony K here with my special guest, Julian Wright. You know him from the New Orleans Hornets or the Toronto Raptors. Julian, welcome, man. Nice to have you on the show.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
So I wanted to start off this morning. I love that I'm hearing basketballs in the background. That's just my favorite sound ever.
Right.
But tell us about your path. So some of us know you. I know you from your year with the Raptors. Most people probably know you from I think you did a few years with the New Orleans Hornets. Coming out of Kansas, tell me about your recruitment, how you ended up in Kansas, and then kind of your career path through the NBA. And I know you played overseas a little bit as well.
Yeah, so it's been a journey. And thank God for the opportunity to be able to play ball. As I said, kid sport, but, adding the business side to it, just learned a lot along my time. I'm from Chicago area, then moved to the suburbs where, a lot of times they say you're not tough if you're not living in the city. So I had a chip on my shoulder. And a lot of our games we beat, almost every game we beat the people from the city. So I was like, like most of our parents did, live there, right? It's not like it's in the middle of nowhere. But that's just some of the culture that kind of got me a little tough and just to kind of have something to prove. And I felt like I took that toughness from, playing the parks, spending time with my dad and my mom, just being in the city of Chicago, really toughened me up early, and I felt everything else was easy, even going to Kansas and everything and playing in the league. I felt everything else wasn't a huge challenge.
Well, I'm going to pause you there for a second because I forgot that you're from Chicago. And I got to ask this question because it's very important if we're going to be friends. Bears fan?
Yes.
I'm a huge Bears fan. You can't see it, but I got my jerseys in the background here, my Urlacher. So maybe we'll talk later about their chances this season. But so you mentioned you kind of ended up in Kansas, and then you get drafted by the then New Orleans Hornets. What's that like?
Right. I was just fortunate to just have my name called, and it's funny is that my senior year was the last year before, or at least they may be changing some rules up now, but the last year before, school was class 2005, when people could go straight to the NBA from high school. And so I remember teammates or people telling me, hey, you have some scouts. I remember it was somebody said you had a Miami Heat scout in the stands during one of my games in high school. But this was after I committed to the University of Kansas. But it was that was probably my first moment. I was thinking okay, maybe I could really have really seriously play in the NBA. Not just people talking my head up, me for myself. I didn't let people tell me, gas me up. So I was like, all right, I really think I can play. But I still had goals in mind. And just to be 2 years later, to have my name called was great. Just thinking about it didn't really sink in because it's I was just trying to make sure I didn't trip on the stage or just something crazy, right? And then we had to do interviews afterwards, and I had to fly straight to New Orleans and do a interview, a press conference, and a camp with some kids. So it didn't really sink in until I got out there and I was looking for my house a couple of days or so later. I was like, man, I'm really in the NBA. So it's it took a day or so really for it to sink in.
Only a day or so. I would have thought it'd take a year or so to sink in, but that's you transition well. So you go from kind of Chicago, to Kansas, and I've spent some time there. Rock, chalk, Jayhawk, huge. It's huge. It's it's a religion right there, which is fantastic. So then you go to New Orleans, again a different vibe, and then you get traded to Toronto. What is your understanding? Had you been to Canada before? Do you know anything about Toronto at this point? Is it all just really foreign? Are you expecting us to be speaking French? What's going on in your head when they tell you go to Toronto?
So actually, before I got drafted, I did something with EA Sports, and I went to Vancouver to do motion capture and some things. So I was out there, and that was my first time in Canada. It was beautiful. It was a lot of trees, and I come from some places where it's just buildings. So it was a good scenery. It was cool. And then I did see. It was interesting. I did see French, the signs in French at the airport when I got to Toronto, but I wasn't hearing a lot of people speaking French. So I was like, what's going on? So I guess it's just because other people travel, like out in Quebec and Montreal,
Right.
they start traveling, going on trips, so they have to. I mean, in Canada. So, but yeah, that was a small. I would say that was. I presume that I would be hearing it, but no, I didn't hear. I don't think I heard anyone speak French when I was there. Not one person.
No, yeah, it's not. I'm not going to get into that, but yeah, it's not. You have to be in certain parts, I guess, to hear it a bit more. But so
Yeah.
your year in Toronto, as far as the team goes, wasn't a great season for the Raptors. They were transitioning. I think it was DeMar's second season. Bosch had just left to the Heat, so it was probably difficult to be on a team that's not winning. But in terms, did you enjoy your time in the city? I think Jay Triano was your coach that year. So
Yeah.
from seeing what that year that you spent here to last season, right, or the last few seasons, the fan base kind of has really grown, obviously, since they started, but in the last 10 years especially, and then to win a championship. Like, did you follow that at all?
Not as much as I probably could have, and it's just like getting my own bubble.
Yeah.
When it comes to just certain things like that. But I did enjoy my time there. It was more so a thing where I knew that I was like on the last year of my contract, and I just thought, you know what, I'm going to just try to be as professional as possible. And I did learn a lot from the player development standpoint. There was a lot of younger players, like you get into the gym early with DeMar DeRozan and Sonny Weems. We had a lot of young guys, Jared Bayless. So give me 1 second. Do you want to rotate? Straight. All right. Yeah, I'm taking care of business and taking care of business.
You got to do your thing.
Yeah. So so that was one of the things for me where, I kind of knew like it was going to be tough for me to stay in the NBA because, I got traded and they were rebuilding, and I don't think they really knew or cared kind of how that year went. It's just like, let's get DeMar DeRozan better. Yeah. No, really. I mean, that was kind of what it was. That was like the weirdest thing, because I was in New Orleans and we were like trying to build on a championship, trying to just to make some runs. And it just shows you like every team has their own little goals, and you have your own personal goals, and it's a lot that has to line up to stay in the NBA, to be honest. And they had a lot of young players, and it's like kind of don't know who's going to kind of get what minutes. And I play a lot of games. I just play like only 15 minutes. I mean, it's like in the way I play, I'm not like a specialist. I wasn't like I'm only a shooter. I'm only a alley-oop catcher and dunker. I'm only a defensive specialist. I'm like a player who needs more minutes to show what I do, but not being selfish, not so I can shoot 20 shots. It's just, before you know it,
get into the flow of the game.
But not even that. It's just I'm a stat stuffer, basically. So that's how I've always been my whole life. So in the NBA, like at that time, it's kind of like for example, a player like Andre Iguodala, I feel like we have a similar type of game. Like not just a straight knockdown shooter, but before you look at the game's over, 15 points, six rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks, and impacted the game. So I felt like I was that type of player, but never really got a chance to show it. But it was definitely a great time in Toronto. People were great, food was great. It was a great experience. I don't take it for granted. Like I said, I'm still a professional player. Just didn't, get a chance to continue my career in the NBA.
Right. So at that point, then, is that when you go to play overseas?
Well, actually, I did 1 year in the G League, called the D League at the time. We were actually champions, Austin Toros. I played with, Brad Watermaker, who's got his chance and got in the NBA with the Celtics. Recently, played with young Corey Joseph, who was already drafted by them. We had a really good team. And
I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of Joseph's because he's my high school alum. So
gotcha.
Yeah. Anytime you can bring him up in conversation, we're good.
Yeah, I'm glad he did well. He's done well for himself. It's not easy getting thrown into just different. I don't think people understand. Like when you go to a team and it's young, it's a lot of youth. It's fun and exciting, I guess, on the outside watching, but it's just like everyone's fighting for just to show that they belong, and it's not easy. So I always like to see people, if they had some stints in the D League or G League now, that they kind of use that as a learning tool, and I think they've done like Austin was great. They were phenomenal. Like they need to make them the NBA team. I mean, they just mean it's like an extension to Spurs.
Yeah.
And I think that they set the tone, not just they set the tone for how the G League seems to be as well. So it's like the Spurs show you the NBA how to operate, and then now the Austin Spurs, it's like showing G League teams how to operate. So I love my time there too. So I am a champion. It's just it's not solely
I'll take it.
A lot.
Yeah. Okay. So then, so you go through this professional career. I'm going to fast forward a little bit. How do you end up in Charlotte?
Yeah. So basically, I heard some good things about it from players who had got traded from the Bobcats. I'm telling my age with all these changes of names.
Hey, I got a few years on you, so I feel you.
Yeah. So I heard some good things about Charlotte, but normally like in NBA, we go to different cities. We don't get to see the neighborhoods. We don't get to see kind of what the city's like. We just go to we're in the city center, and then it's kind of like we play. We may not even get a chance to walk around. We just a back to back, and you just kind of just like I'm laying in bed until it's time to get up. And so, all that being said, I heard some good things about it, and then my wife, she had had some conferences out here and things like that, and so we just say we're trying to look for somewhere on the map. We were had a top 5 list. And we were just looking for somewhere we wanted to settle down. We didn't want to be in a really big city. We didn't want that for our kids. We just wanted them to have some type of stability, though, not in the middle of nowhere. So it's just one thing led to another. We just started to took a trip out here. My mother-in-law watched our kids, and we just stayed here for a month, just kind of look around, and we was like, yeah, we're sold. So that was 2016. So we've been out here since.
Cool. So I'm going to jump into because everyone's seeing you walk around there, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. I have one hard question for you first. So with the NBA planning a return here, and it's going to be very different, obviously, because of COVID-19. We've had some players, specifically Kyrie Irving, Dwight Howard, saying, you know what, I don't think we should come back to play now. They've used 2 reasons, COVID and obviously the protests and bringing more knowledge to social injustice, racial, the issues in America and trying to fix those, because there are, and it's obvious, and it's something that needs to get done. A lot, it's not going to get done overnight, unfortunately. Do you think not playing is the answer to bring attention to that issue, or is it playing and having people see you so that you can use that platform to kind of share that information?
Yeah, I absolutely think that they should play. My reason is not because how they maybe seeing it as a situation where it just kind of throws everything back under the rug, or people put their head back in the sand. I think if they have it in them to use it as a platform, it makes a statement. For example, it sounds weird, but this is how it comes out. So when the NBA announced that they're shutting down, I think that's when a lot of people took COVID-19 serious. Wow, the NBA shut down.
Yeah.
So I mean, that was a statement. That was something that took place. I think if it's under the reason, if it's because it's COVID-19, that's someone's personal. It's always someone's personal decision, whatever the case is. They'll work out the contract situation, whatever. I don't know how that would work, but if they're under contract and they don't want to play. But the whole point is, if it's health reasons and things like that, okay. Want to say something, but if it's because of civil rights, like that, I mean, to be honest, someone's Instagram page, someone's platform like that, that's only a feeder. I mean, it's basically, I would say it's only supported by what they're doing when they're active, to me.
Right.
So I'd say you have all these interviews, you have all this press. Why not? I feel like the whole world can now hear about what's going on in America. Yeah. Just like a lot of people found out what's going on in America when the NBA shut down. So that's my stance on it. But of course, to each his own.
Yeah. The NBA shutting down. You're right. It was like that first big domino to fall, and everything just kind of happened after that. And to your point, right, using that platform as you're playing to speak out about social injustice, and I think that's the best use of your time. And there's been some other players who've said that's great for the superstars who've made hundreds of millions of dollars to say, hey, we're not going to play. But what about those, those guys on minimum contracts, those young guys that are just trying to break into the league? They're not in that same financial position as some of those players. Some of them need to play.
I'd say, sorry to interject, I would say just quickly is that I think it's no different than anyone else who's going to work. Like, yes, people might sit here and march and do what they're going to do, but okay, are they just going to not go into work? Maybe let's do that on their off time. So someone can still be an activist or whatever they want to do on days off or days where they're in different cities. Heck, they don't travel, but the idea is like there's going to be a lot of press in the NBA, like even more, the fact that it's starting up. So, like the whole world's watching the NBA. So it's like, why not take that chance and to use that as a platform? Because let's be real, basketball is the easiest thing in terms of someone who's already a professional. Yeah, that maybe if you're sore or whatever, but like when you're at this level, like the actual basketball part of the game is easy in a sense. It's the planning, it's the preparation, it's other business stuff going on outside of one's control. That's gonna be tough. So that's where I stand with it. I think that people should they're gonna do what they're gonna do, but I think if anyone just looks at it as, hey, this is my job, I'm gonna do my job. It's my it might be like if I'm being affected on like in my workspace, then that's something. But if it's tough that you're seeing other people with things going on. But hey, like do your job, and then you can use that as a platform to really, bring more awareness and even put pressure on some people in some managerial places throughout the world.
It's such an important issue, right? We want to keep it at the forefront, but use your platforms so that it doesn't, like you said, so people don't put their heads back in the sand. And we go back to, it seems like 3-4 years ago, we were having the same conversations. There was protests and this time it feels different, which is good, right? Because people need to action, right? There's a lot of words 3-4 years ago.
Right.
I hope this time around it leads to actions. So speaking of actions, you've started Adapt Basketball. And I'm seeing you walking around. I'm getting jealous because I haven't, with COVID, I've been in isolation. I haven't been able to hoop in a while. So tell me about what you're doing with Adapt. Show me around. You've had some of your alum already pop in. This week, right, was the grand opening?
Well, we just did an opening. It wasn't even grand.
Right, I guess. It can't be too grand right now.
Yeah, we'll just probably, we're thinking about just kind of rolling into next year, like just kind of like anniversary type thing, just kind of, hey, we didn't get a chance to kind of do a formal thing, but we have to get going now. I mean, just be real. So, I mean, nothing was really a fairy tale type of story this year. So we're not even going to do that. People start calling and want to get in. It's like, let's come on, let's work. Yeah. So, so I'm really excited to get going though, despite, with how it's been, with how slow it's been thus far. I'm encouraged though, because even before COVID-19, as I don't know if you got a chance to see these cameras, but we basically have sports performance cameras that we can use. We have 5 on this one side alone. There's panoramic and then one here. So we're going to use that to do online training, which we're excited about. As I said, this wasn't random. Like, this has some cameras in here. So, the idea is that we want, even for example, like I got to meet some phenomenal people in Toronto, people I keep in touch with, and just also like knowing that I feel like every stop of the way, I felt like I've learned or gained something from it. And if I can just be of service or being a resource, I thought that Charlotte's just like, in a sense, my headquarters, but I want to be able to impact many people. And I feel like kids in particular, even the teenage athletes, are underserved when it comes to training, especially in the States. I think it's just oversaturated with trainers. People just like, kind of do this on the side. It's okay, but like, I see myself as a professional basketball player development coach. I'm just not tied to a team. So I want to, be able to kind of just show my expertise and kind of be authoritative figure when it comes to teaching in basketball the right way, and it's like kids are used to 1-minute Instagram videos and YouTube videos. And okay, sometimes people say you can't compete with free, but we want to be confident and say, hey, look, we're trying to make it affordable, and compared to in person, would you get something like this? And that's kind of how we want to kind of position ourselves going forward.
I love it. I'll join you. I'll have once I can get back to the gym, we'll do some virtual stuff. So So you've had some players come in. Do they just
Mhm.
come in and it's just a good place to get a workout in? You talk about teaching basketball the right way, right? So maybe
Mhm.
I'm going to show my age a little bit when I say the fundamentals of the game seem to be slipping a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So talk to me about the importance of that, especially for young players.
Right. So, the game basketball is becoming it's so competitive because so many people are playing it. And that's what I mean. We want to give people an edge based on, just getting the bases. And I feel like, we're trying to keep up with the times where, players are very talented, but like they're very talented and they're ones that people see on TV. And they can kind of get away with certain things that look so flashy, but there's a lot of fundamentals still in there. You can tell they've been in the gym a long time. And so I think what kids are doing, they're looking at the flashy moves,
Yep.
and they're not looking at all the other buckets they score. Because if they're not watching the full game, that's what I said. This world, like in social media, is just more like highlight era. So it's like, hey, have you watched James Harden play his whole game? How he gets to the free throw line, how even his form, how he has hard pound dribbles, or are you only looking at when he has to isolate and shoot a tough step back shot? Like you don't score 40, 50 points on all tough shots, like
Right.
fancy
Right.
shots. But of course, you're going to score a share when you shoot that many shots. So I think that's kind of what's going on is, kids are just watching they want to look at the people, they want to look at media outlets or even players themselves put their best foot forward when they show their highlights. And that's what kids are doing too. Like they're posting, the parents are posting 1 minute highlight reels of a whole tournament. It's like, this person had on 5 different shoes and jerseys. Like, I mean, they're just taking 2 main shots from the whole tournament,
Right.
or each game, and making a highlight. That's not real. Like, it's not realistic. So we're gonna do like film analysis, so we can actually teach and show mechanical movements, like why, how mechanics, how they're strong, or like why they can make this move because they have a good balance. Not just let me go out there now and try it. So we want to teach the game, and what we allows us to do this and leverage it, opposed to in person is that, people can rewatch it, so we want to use film. We want to just show them, how to play the right way. And then we kind of, maximize it. Even in person, we give people what we call homework. We don't want to just feel like we have to have everyone on the stream and say, hey, you got to keep coming back to us. We want you to, do work on your own, just like school. So that's why it's called Academy.
So I'll tell you a quick story because it goes right into what you just said. So I used to work at a basketball camp one summer, and I was
Mm-hmm.
a coach. And I call them kids because they were 10 to 14 years old, and they're coming in and they're throwing around the back passes.
Right.
And I said, well, let me see a bounce pass. And they couldn't throw a bounce pass, but they were trying to throw around the back passes. And to your point about James Harden, I see it all the time. Younger kids like trying to shoot a step back 3 before they can shoot a spot up 3, right? You got to
Exactly.
learn. There's steps, so you got to walk before you run. So I appreciate that, and I think
Exactly.
it's great what you're doing, and I love it and much success. And they can find you at adaptbasketball.com.
Yes, they can find me there. From there, if they're looking for, if not most of your audience obviously won't be near where I'm at, but they can go to the training tab, and they can just look at online academy. Once they click on that, the pathway will show them. By the way, I'll tell you this: it was really supposed to be a silent promotion. I have because I was sending it to people who I just wanted to key in on, and so we do have a promotion. It's just Adapt 20 for all our online programming. It's 20% off right now. So
Okay, I'll be sure to
there
add
you have
that link in
it.
the video for sure. And I'm going to leave it on, my favorite subject next to basketball is going to be the Bears. So this
Yeah.
would be the last thing I ask you to do today. Your prediction. Have you been following the offseason, and do you have a prediction, fingers crossed, that we have a season?
I haven't this particular season. I've been so busy. I will have to give you an update. You can do an editor's note.
Okay, all right.
But I think they'll have a season. I think they may follow. A lot of people are probably watching the NBA, kind of see how they're going to do it,
Yeah.
and I think at least it gives NFL a lot more time to kind of get the resources together. They can do a similar thing somewhere. Vegas has a lot of just land. I'm thinking some places where they can just just get people in there, and so I don't know, but I hope so. I mean, I definitely I would like to, now that I'm basically retired, I would like to be able to to
You're
keep up with
you're
all the
running this
sports.
you're running this academy. I know you're not retired because that takes up a lot of time, but I know what you mean. So I'll let you know so I'll put it out there
Yeah.
again. So I did a way too early prediction for all the NFL teams already, and I have the
Okay.
Bears as a wild card team, 10-6. So I think
Okay.
that would make us happy, right?
Yeah. I'll take the wild card exactly.
All right, Julian, man. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining me, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Anthony. Thanks. Take care.
Take care, man.
Bye.